May I invite you to stand, please? Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, performed by Mr. Darren Andrews. Please remain standing. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite the head of the Open Campus, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Mrs. Deborah Dalrymple, to address you. Mrs. Dalrymple.
Senator Honorable Deborah Charles, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Godwin Friday, Leader of the Opposition, His Excellency Bashan Ge, Ambassador of the Republic of China and Taiwan, Her Excellency Daliana Guanipa, Second Secretary, Embassy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Mrs. Sarah Owen, Head of Open Campus St. Kitts Nevis, and Acting Deputy Director of Continuing Education at the Open Campus. Dr. Ann Wallace, Program Director, Cave Hill School of Business. Mrs. Monica Brown, Program Officer, Open Campus, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Honorable Annie Eustace. Miss Stacy Morris, Special Guest Speaker. Mr. Nick Francis, Valedictorian. Ms. Ruthland Matthias, Office Manager of the Open Campus Guild of Students. Mrs. Lavinia Gunn, Administrator of the Mustique Charitable Trust. Miss Mary France Dennis, Trustee at the Mustique Charitable Trust. Other members of the Trust, representatives of the Eastern Caribbean Group of Companies, Corrales Hazels Inc., members of the university community, specially invited guests, members of the media, our radio and internet audiences as we are streaming live today, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and a special welcome to the Recognition of Graduate Ceremony 2017. I crave your indulgence to extend an extra special welcome to our guests who have traveled from overseas to celebrate with us today. Mrs. Sarah Owen, who has joined us from our sister Caribbean country, St. Kitts Nevis, and is the Deputy Director, Acting, of the Continuing Professional Education of the Open Campus, even while holding the substantive post as Head of Site St. Kitts Nevis. Ms. Stacia Morris, Financial Literacy Expert, Management Consultant and Author, a daughter of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who currently resides in the United States of America, and Dr. Ann Wallace, Program Director at the Cave Hill School of Business, who hails from neighboring Barbados. At the Open Campus graduation in St. Kitts in 2016, Sir George Alleyne, our Chancellor, singled out St. Vincent as graduating 68 students which he noted was twice as many as 2014-2015 academic year. This is a reflection of the continued growth of our site over the years. In the first semester of 2016-2017, we are pleased to reflect a student body of 388, the highest thus far. Today, we recognize 63 graduates, of whom 36 have earned their University of the West Indies degrees at the open campus. We are very pleased to record 13 first-class honors among our graduates. Another record for our site. Forgive me for beaming, I'm just so happy about that. Through the open campus, it's never too late to pursue your dreams. Open campus graduates at this recognition of graduate ceremony represent the disciplines of accounting, banking and finance, youth development work, educational leadership and management, early childhood development and family studies, and mathematics. We also acknowledge graduates who have participated in diploma and certificate programs. At every recognition of graduate ceremony, I must pay tribute to our students who sought education part-time because they're employed or have families that they need to care for and support. They must juggle time, financial and other resources, and personal priorities. You have earned our respect, both of myself and my staff, as you persevered. The recognition of graduate ceremony is always significant, as it marks the successful end to a period often fraught with challenges. It is a family struggle, but today it is a family celebration. We congratulate with equal fervor those graduates who have chosen to be recognized at this ceremony, students from our sister campuses of Mona, St. Augustine, and Cayfield, and from the Cayfield School of Business and our own St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. We are aware that there are many choices available for tertiary education, and we are happy that you have chosen the University of the West Indies. As you leave the portals of the UWI, I invite you to become part of the movement to revive the Alumni Association here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I encourage you to remain part of the UWI family. Over the past several years, we at the Open Campus St. Vincent were determined to lift the community's awareness of the university's presence here. In addition to offering opportunities for tertiary education, which hitherto may have been quite unlikely, we also invited our community to share in quality cultural and educative activities at the site. Activities begin with the recognition of graduate ceremony in January or February, and is anchored by the literary fair and the Independence Lecture towards the end of the year. We continue to organize other lectures, conferences, workshops, and continuing professional education courses. Our usual suite of courses include supervisory management, managing projects for success, caring for the elderly, guidance and counseling, and advanced counseling skills, working with the adolescent. This year, we are pleased to add to our offerings the Introduction to Procurement Management, Introduction to Facilities Management, Business and Communication Writing, and Health and Safety Fundamentals. We will also deliver workshops on understanding financial statements, conflict management, performance appraisals, and customer service to the corporate sector. And increasingly, the Open Campus is asked to design programs specially tailored to a specific corporate client needs. Provision of access to the university through the Open Campus sites, therefore, are not simply convenient, but it is an avenue through which individuals can improve their academic and professional competence. At the site, we recognize that funding is often a hindrance, and we have sought sponsorships in the form of bursaries from the corporate sector. In this regard, we acknowledge the assistance of the Mustique Charitable Trust, Corrales Hazels Inc., the Eastern Caribbean Group of Companies, and the General Employees Credit Union. There are other companies and institutions which also support our students, and we thank them also. The St. Vincent site is slated for major renovations and expansion of the physical plant, and we should see work commencing as early as next month. This will prove to be a vast improvement in service delivery. The new building will provide for expanded classrooms, library, computer laboratory, video conferencing, and office space. The facility would boast student-friendly spaces, such as a student lounge and recreational and study area for the children, who very often have to accompany their parents to the site. Even as you savor your achievements, graduates, I urge you not to settle into inertia, but to think ahead as to where you can make your contribution to the development of your country. In this vein, I would end by quoting Professor Sir Hilary Bickles as he made his inaugural address as Vice-Chancellor of our university. He behoved each of us as Caribbean people, and I quote, to rekindle the Caribbean revolutionary spirit that has brought us thus far. To rekindle this spirit is to re-energize the intellectual struggle for self-reliance. It is to rekindle the spirit of the struggle for economic self-determination, the democratization of economic ownership, and the quest for greater sovereignty and self-responsibility. Thank you very much. I would now like to introduce Mrs. Sarah Owen, who, as I said before, hails from St. Kitts Nevis. She is the head of site at St. Kitts Nevis, but also the Deputy Director for the continuing and professional education programs that we're now embarking on. She holds a BA in Literatures in English and an MA in English. She is currently working on a doctorate in educational management for higher education. She has an interest in film and community development, and I would very much like us to join together in welcoming Mrs. Owen to the podium.
Thank you, Mrs. Dalrymple. Kindly allow me to adopt the protocol you have so ably established. Good morning, everyone. I'm trying, before I start to speak, to control myself from smiling so much at the beautiful vista I have this morning. It really is tremendous to see all of you seated here, and it is even more tremendous to have the opportunity to join you in recognizing this wonderful achievement. So I'll begin by aptly saying that there are no words to sufficiently describe the honor I have in joining the University of the West Indies community in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to celebrate the tremendous achievements of the scholars seated before us today. I must begin by expressing personal greetings and congratulations on behalf of Dr. Luz Longsworth, Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the UWI Open Campus, as well as Dr. Francis Severin, Director of the Open Campus Country Sites, both of whom join me in recognizing the value of the work in which you have been engaged as you journey towards completion of your selected program. This morning, we recognize graduates from various programs ranging from certificate to master's levels in fields ranging from youth development work to biosafety to leadership in TVET development. And I really encourage you to take some time to look in your program to see the vast diversity of programs these graduates have been engaged in. I mean, it is really quite tremendous, and I think that it speaks to the development we will see emerging out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I will add that I was very, very much privileged to arrive at the new airport yesterday, and I would like to congratulate St. Vincent and the Grenadines on that. I've arrived here many times before, and like many on the flight, I was brought to near applause and found myself snapping pictures as soon as I landed of the new airport. So it really is quite a significant achievement, and I congratulate you all on that. I think it important to note here that as one of the smallest sovereign nation states in the world, and I refer to our size only because we so very often punch above our weight, this ceremony is testimony to the intellectual capacity and the dedication to development of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In relation to the UWI, it speaks directly to the institution's motto, Oriens Ex Occidente Lux, a light shining from the West. Today, the graduates we recognize are the embodiment of that motto and emerge as a beacon in this hemisphere and a testimony to what we can achieve when we make use of the avenues for education made available to us by our region's longest-standing institution of higher learning. I'm going to give a little bit of history on the UWI here, so you can indulge me for just one quick second, especially as we are all members of this esteemed community. The UWI was established at a quiet ceremony in Jamaica in 1948. At that time, it is likely that even our founding fathers did not imagine that by 2017, we would report average enrollment of near 50,000 students in undergraduate and graduate programs across the entire university, as well as tens of thousands of students each year who engage in continuing education, workforce development training, and professional education programs throughout the UWI. The UWI has also grown to count among its stakeholders 17 contributing countries and boasts of several hundred programs offered across 7 faculties. The variety of disciplines listed in today's program is testimony to the expansion of the fields of study available at the UWI and evidence of the institution's commitment to meeting the training and development needs of the region it serves. As members of small states within the OECS, we may sometimes wonder where we fit within this growth and development agenda and the extent to which we are influencing the decisions of the institution to ensure they are relevant to each of our countries. And I know this reaches home for a lot of us because sometimes we worry that perhaps we are overlooked at the table when our larger sister countries are also there. As a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, these are questions I ask myself daily in an effort to ensure that I bring the voice of the citizens of the smallest nation in the Western Hemisphere to the table at any meeting I am invited to attend. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I am pleased to report, is very well represented at all levels of decision-making in the institution. Just 2 weeks ago, and I was telling this to Mrs. Dalrymple earlier, just 2 weeks ago, I was at a meeting in Jamaica, and this was a meeting of the University Board of Undergraduate Studies. So this is a very high-level senior meeting for the institution. And within that room alone, I was in the company of Dr. Joel Warrican, Director of the Open Campus Academic and Delivery Division, Dr. Justin Robinson, Chair of the University Committee of Deans, and Mr. C. William Eiton, University Registrar, all from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and all highly respected decision makers within the UWI. Mrs. Dalrymple and Mrs. Brown, who join me today on the platform, provide another stellar example of leaders within the community who sit on boards and committees that provide an avenue through which we can ensure the teaching, learning, and research needs of the UWI develop in tandem with the needs of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider region. And I can tell you, you are very well represented by these 2 ladies who join me here today. They are very, very vocal in ensuring that the needs of the stakeholders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are met and are celebrated as well. As another example, this week, the UWI Technical and Advisory Committees met in St. Lucia, another one of our OECS sister states, to deliberate on the budgets of each of the university campuses, the University Center or the Vice-Chancellery, and the University Hospital at Mona. These budgets are presented to government representatives who serve as members of the committees for deliberation before they go forward to 2 other committees for approval. Importantly, our governments have a seat at the table at each of these meetings. The institution is therefore fully engaged in a variety of meetings with a variety of stakeholders from various sectors, both private and public, who serve on committees such as program advisory committees and as chancellors and vice-chancellors nominees. There are therefore numerous avenues through which we can engage as well as be engaged by the UWI, which brings me to an important part of what we are celebrating today. This ceremony, aptly named a Recognition of Graduates ceremony, recognizes the certificates you have been awarded as a symbol of the knowledge you have gained. Anton Chekhov opined, and I quote, "Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice." What we are really celebrating here is the advanced knowledge that you have gained with the hope and the expectation that you will bring it to good value through practice. Given the fields of study you selected and the vast number of you who are graduating with honors and distinction, your commitment to increasing the value of the knowledge you have gained is clearly evident. To push Chekhov's concept one step further, Margaret Fuller suggests, and I quote, "If you have knowledge, you should let others light their candle in it." As we formally welcome you into the community of graduates of the University of the West Indies, some perhaps for the second time, we ask that you consider sharing your light with your alma mater as we work together to execute the enduring mission of the institution, which reads, "To advance education and create knowledge through excellence in teaching, research, innovation, public service, intellectual leadership, and outreach, in order to support the inclusive, social, economic, political, cultural, environmental development of the Caribbean region and beyond." I am sure we can agree that we can each find a role for ourselves with such a comprehensive and inclusive mission statement. Would you agree? Yes, I think we've left no stone unturned with our mission statement, so we can each find a place for the work that we do there. This year marks a significant year for the UWI and a wonderful year to become more engaged in the work of the institution. We are embarking on a new strategic plan, which will be officially launched before the end of this academic year, so stay tuned, everyone, for more about that. We are also preparing to celebrate our 70th anniversary as an institution. In so doing, we will recognize the extent to which we have truly emerged, Oriens Ex, Occidente Lux. And just as a reminder, that means a light shining from the West. 70 years later, I think we're least expected to have emerged as we have today in 2017. So that is something as a region I think we can really be very proud of. Within this context of shining where least expected and moving beyond the implications of the signifiers affixed to us as small and developing, we urge you to continue to shine as you do today. Continue to demonstrate the positives of the gems we inhabit and the people we represent. Continue to set and achieve your goals and to shine light on those around you. The UWI commends and embraces you as part of a community of lifelong learners and welcomes your commitment to enhancing our region and moving us forward as one university. Henry Youngman argued, "There is no spark like the one ignited under the aspirations of the new graduate," end quote. And Gandhi advised, "You may never know what results come of your action, but if you do nothing, there will be no results," end quote. Taking as given the spark ignited among those of you recognized today, as well as those among us whose achievements we recognized some time ago. So this is a clarion call not only to those who are being recognized today, but to those of us whose achievements, our scholarly achievements, were recognized some time ago. I encourage you to continue to remain connected to the UWI through the Open Campus site in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, through the various UWI websites and social media pages, as well as UE TV, which you can now access online and through Carib Vision, so hopefully some of you are tuning into UE TV as well. As an institution, we remain committed to assisting you in achieving results through higher education, continuing and professional education, research, and publication. I recently heard Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the UWI, make reference to a Chinese proverb that suggests that a journey of 1,000 miles may be abandoned because of a pebble in one's shoe. He made reference to this proverb in the context of the new strategic planning period for the UWI, recognizing that there are a number of pebbles in our shoes. Some of them we put there ourselves, others may have come with the shoes. In recognizing the potential for these pebbles to significantly alter our journey, he asked that we consider what our pebbles might be and remove them so that we may move forward together as an institution and as a region. In fact, he suggested that if necessary, we remove the shoes and run towards our shared goals and objectives. As we congratulate you once more, I invite you to join us, your fellow Pelicans, and your wider UWI community in breaking the boundaries, sharing our light, and racing like bolts of lightning towards our goals. Finally, drawing on the words of one of our region's esteemed youth, Mr. Alvin Holas of Grenada, who currently serves as the UWI Cave Hill Guild President, one prolific statement made by former Vice Chancellor of the UWI, Professor Ralston Rex Nettleford, is that the UWI is the region's greatest gift to itself. We therefore cannot let that gift wither away. We have a duty to use, maintain, and develop that gift in order to harness the undisclosed treasures that are within it, end quote. We are met today in order that we may mark by a formal ceremony the entry of certain of our members into the company of graduates and the academic achievements of others. As a university, we are an academic society of undergraduates, bachelors, masters, doctors, and we follow the academic tradition in the pursuit of knowledge and the encouragement of learning, purposes which are laid down in the preamble by the Royal Charter, by which we have been granted the powers needful for the prosecution of our affairs. In pursuing these aims, our members advance from time to time to higher standing in the academic community, and it is proper that as a body we should celebrate their achievement. It is marked by the granting of a degree, or diploma, or license, or certificate, and we rejoice with our graduates on their achievement.
Good morning, everyone. The persons whose names will be called, students of the University of the West Indies, and having fulfilled the requirements of the University of the West Indies, beg leave to be presented to you and to the Senate of the University by the representatives of the Academic Programming and Delivery Division as Bachelors of Education, Bachelors of Laws, Bachelors of Science, Nursing, Bachelors of Science, Social Sciences, or holders of associate degree or diplomas or certificates of the University of the West Indies. Mr. Maxwell Fergus, representing the Academic and Programming Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelors of Science, Social Sciences of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society, as holders of Associate of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Bachelors of Science in Accounting, I present Kamisha Garrick with first-class honors. Kamaria Lewis. Shireen Kwashi. Jenny Sandy with first class honors. For the Bachelor's of Science in Banking and Finance, I present Jamelia Cottle. Simone Mulcair. For the Bachelor's of Science in Management Studies, I present Stacy Barnum with first class honors. Teresa Black. Samantha Brown. Charlene Daniel. Vinsgard Douglas. Makeda Frederick Smith. Sybil Jennings. Colleen MacDonald. Katian Olivier. Josephine Peters Ross. Charlene Wiley. For the Bachelor's of Science in Management Studies with Economics, I present Tishon Kane. Miriah Samuel. Thank you.
Mrs. Rosita Snag, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelors of Science, Social Sciences of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associates of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Bachelor of Science in Youth Development work, I present Yvonne Butler Matthews with first-class honors. Nick Francis with first-class honors. Phil Call Jeffers with first-class honors. Glenroy King with first-class honors. Nellie Phillips. Gisela Rollins. Katina Scott with first-class honors. And Samantha Williams with first-class honors.
Mr. Ashfro Stevens, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degrees of Bachelors of Education of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associate of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Development and Family Studies, I present Nali Ben. Marissa Oliver with first-class honors. Clay Donna Peters. Sonel Pope with first-class honors. Haley Thomas McLean. Candice Trotman. For the Bachelor of Education in Educational Leadership and Management, I present Sunita Gur with first-class honors. For the Bachelor of Education in Mathematics, I present Radhika Jack with first-class honors. Thank you.
Mr. Nigel Scott, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of Bachelors of Education of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associate of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Bachelor of Education in Social Studies, I present Nadisha Brown. Rhea Crichton. Chantal Griffith Primus. Odette John. Latoya Laborde. Paula Rollins Jack. Darren Samuel. Nashaki Samuel. Chrislyn Straker. Sherianne Williams Pear. Thank you.
Mr. Timothy Scott, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been admitted to the degree of education, Bachelors of Science, Nursing, Social Sciences, and Natural Sciences of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associates of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
From the Cave Hill campus, I present Cherise Jack, MSc Biosafety with distinction. Teresia Jack, BSc Management Studies, Marketing. From the Mona campus, I present Azuba Adams, MA Leadership, TVET, and Workforce Development. Abigail Haynes, BA Integrated Marketing Communication. Cherry-Ann Morris, BSc Nursing, Post-RN. From the St. Augustine campus, I present Charmaine Cozier, BA Spanish with Communication and Psychology minor. And Javanique Noel, BSc Biochemistry with Chemistry minor.
Dr. Ann Wallace, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been awarded Associate of Science degrees and diplomas and certificates of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associates of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Executive Diploma in Public Sector Management, I present Erica Antoine. Anne-Marie Branch. Joan Dupwell. Ketura Durant. Camilla Holder. Rosine Khan. And Natalie Young. Thank you.
Mr. Edward Smith, representing the Academic Programming and Delivery Division.
My colleagues and I ask you to recognize these persons present who, having fulfilled the requirements of this university, have been awarded Associate of Science degrees and diplomas and certificates of the University of the West Indies.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associates of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Diploma in Business Administration, I present Amanda Sinclair.
I call on Mr. Edward Smith, to present the graduates of local programs.
I present to you these graduates who, having fulfilled the requirements for certificates, ask that you recognize their achievements.
On behalf of the Chancellor and the authority vested in him, I recognize these persons whose names are about to be called as graduate members of our society and as holders of Associates of Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of this university.
For the Certificate in Guidance and Counseling, I present Rhea Descent. Kimberly Lynch.
I now call on Mr. Nick Francis, our valedictorian, to give us his address.
Protocol having been established, good morning to everyone. I pondered quite a bit about what to say this morning. What words of wisdom or inspiration could I possibly provide at such an occasion as special as this one? Perhaps to start off with a famous quote by a famous author, or maybe a little joke to break the ice. Should I share thoughts from some of the most prominent philosophers of our time? Or pick a well-known proverb from our rich cultural history? Then I came to the realization that this journey of academic excellence could not be described in such terms. Our journey was never meant to be a one-man show. We all had a part to play in each other's achievements and successes. In fact, we inspired each other, encouraged each other, and over the last 4 years, we have forged personal relationships that surpass the category of classmate to lifelong friendship. Indeed, such relationships will continue to grow and flourish long after we leave this hall today. Therefore, as your valedictorian, permit me to use this opportunity to share our lived experience and our story of triumph. The life of an open campus student is multifaceted. It is a true test of the human spirit. It stretches and challenges us to do more and to achieve more. An open campus student must immerse himself or herself in the highest standards of learning, all the while juggling both personal and professional responsibilities. An open campus student must study, work, be a parent, and also navigate the plethora of issues that encompass daily life. I would argue that open campus students who are single parents are the true heroes of this academic journey. Your ability to study and perform well while at the same time looking after the needs of your children is truly remarkable and deserves the highest recognition. By now, we all have a clear understanding of the term, quote, reading for your degree. And for those of us who prefer to watch television instead of read, it was truly a baptism by fire. Nevertheless, we challenged ourselves to grasp and assimilate the material. If we didn't get it the first time, we had to make sure to read it again and again. And of course, who can forget group work? The major component of every final assignment or project. As they say, when life throws you lemons, you have to make lemonade. And so we did, turning conventional group work into a legitimate science, utilizing document sharing, WhatsApp chats, and Skype calls to produce the best assignments through effective cooperation and collaboration. It is truly a wonder to witness Caribbean integration taking place within these unconventional yet necessary spaces. We battled English for academic purposes. For some of us, that battle went to a second and third round, but we finally mustered the strength to give it that knockout punch. We asked important questions, challenging our tutors to give us their best. And don't forget, we are some of the best negotiators in the business, turning deadlines into extensions and B's into A's. When the pressures of final examinations and assignments grew stronger and stronger, we dug deeper and deeper, pushing through to the very end. That's why when a classmate says, that was a hard A, we know what they're talking about. We cannot forget those valley experiences, a failing grade, unexpected negative feedback, sickness and disease, personal family tragedy, and financial problems. We battled fear and anxiety and feelings of uncertainty and inferiority. We remember those dark and difficult times when we wanted to give up and throw in the towel, when we lost confidence in our ability to do the work. And we remember those times when we learned more about ourselves, our learning style, how we coped with stress, how we dealt with grief, and how we interacted and communicated with others. We exercised self-discipline and proper time management to get the work done. Truly, this journey was one of personal growth and development. As I reflect on the past 4 years, I am reminded of the motto of the St. Vincent Grammar School, Per Aspera ad Astra, through rough ways to the stars. As students of the Open Campus, we embraced the full university experience. We attended numerous lectures, literacy fairs, and participated in several student guild activities. As Regional Vice President of Special Projects and Fundraising and your local chapter chair of the Open Campus Guild of Students, I have gained several skill sets which will serve me well in my future endeavors. As an active member of the Student Guild, I was able to represent my campus at both the national and regional level. Such experiences have truly enriched my life, and I encourage all our students to seek the office of student leader and representative. Oftentimes, in this fast-paced environment of online learning, one does not always have the opportunity to pause and reflect on our achievements and accomplishments. It really didn't hit me until just a few days ago when I collected and read my completion letter from the University of the West Indies, a simple letter with such profound meaning. I can testify today with all certainty that faith in God, hard work and determination, and an effective support system are important ingredients to one's success. So this morning, take a little time to enjoy the view. Look around you and share in this moment of absolute pride and joy. Our struggle has been well fought, our perseverance well documented, and now we can say with full confidence and with the biggest and brightest smiles that we are UWI graduates. We all had different reasons for enrolling in university: the opportunity to earn a higher salary, to improve our standard of living, to essentially obtain upward social mobility. For some, it may be to earn important academic qualifications to further advance a career in a specific field. For others, it was an opportunity to start over, to do something completely different, and to chart a new course in life. For me, it was the opportunity to learn skills in youth development, my life's passion. However, the decision to enroll was just the first step. I am quickly reminded of Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 9. A feast is for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. We must therefore applaud those organizations and institutions that provide scholarships and bursaries to students in support of their academic dreams. I stand here today as a bursary recipient of the Mustique Charitable Trust, and I take this time to express my deepest gratitude to donors from Mustique and Mrs. Lavinia Gunn for their kindness and generosity. We must also acknowledge the Disadvantaged Student Loan Program and other credit facilities that provide the necessary financing for our students to realize their dream of a university education. It would be remiss of me to not take this time to thank those individuals who in one way or the other contributed to this moment that we all share. Mrs. Deborah Dalrymple, you have truly been a motherly figure to us all, a helping hand and guide, and we sincerely appreciate all your hard work. To the staff at the Open Campus site, St. Vincent, thank you for your support and for going the extra mile. Thank you to those e-tutors, some of whom are here today, who went above and beyond the call of duty, who refused to accept mediocrity, who challenged us to reach our fullest potential. To my fellow youth development classmates, we are especially proud to be the first batch, the guinea pigs. We all share a special bond, and I thank you for being part of this journey with me. To my Guild executive members and colleagues, past and present, nationally and regionally, thank you for your service. To my young Democrats and members of my party, thank you for being a constant source of inspiration and motivation. To my parents, my godly examples, you have instilled in me important values and principles that have served me well in my personal and professional life. Thank you. To my brothers, Mick and Rick, thank you for making the journey just a little bit easier and for being a source of constant joy and laughter, the best medicine. Now that this academic journey has come to its conclusion, what is the next step? Where do we go from here? It was Kofi Annan, the 7th Secretary General at the United Nations, who said, "Knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family," end of quote. These words ring true for us as graduates. So this morning, my question to us is, what will we do with this newly acquired power? Building a better way of life for ourselves and our families is an obvious choice and one that is expected. To obtain that sought-after promotion, to enter a new field of work, to advance your career and pursue your passion, these are all well justified. However, I also want to challenge us to go deeper, to look around us and to see what positive changes we can make in Vincentian society. How can we use our knowledge as a force for good in our community and country? Graduates, we have a heavy responsibility on our shoulders to chart a brighter pathway for our young people and women, to advocate for their positive development and inclusion in decision-making. We must find ways to support and strengthen our families and to be role models to our young people. Volunteer your time and your services to community groups and organizations. Become a tutor or a mentor. Develop new and exciting ways to broaden and deepen the connectivity between corporate entities and disadvantaged and marginalized groups. Establish think tanks to create solutions to the problems we face nationally and regionally. Create a space for persons to find their voice and to use that voice to effect positive change. Challenge the status quo. Promote critical and creative thinking. Become leaders in your place of work, in your church, home, and community. Never underestimate your worth, your power to influence, and your ability to impact and improve the lives of those around you. So whatever academic discipline you have emerged from today, make a commitment to use your knowledge for good. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said, quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. Therefore, let us be a force for good in St. Vincent and the Grenadines." Today, we celebrate this important milestone. Today, we celebrate our achievement. Tomorrow, we turn the page to the next chapter. What will that chapter look like? How will it be written? What experiences will fill the pages? Only you can answer those questions. As your valedictorian, my only request is to let God be the inspiration that guides your fingers as you write those pages. For in him we live, in him we move, and in him we have our being. Congratulations to the class of 2017. A job well done.
I now invite Mr. Darren Andrews to entertain us. Thank you. I'm sorry, Darren. I was waiting for the second piece. I didn't. Sure? Would you? Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And we're not sure when we're going to get the pleasure of hearing Darren, so we thought we'd just take advantage. And I claim him for UWI as well. Right. It is my pleasure now to introduce our featured speaker, Ms. Stacia Morris. Earlier, last year, Ms. Morris came by the open campus, and she was so enthusiastic about doing something for St. Vincent, starting new programs to involve young people. And I was so very impressed. I'm thinking, I have to have this woman come speak to us somewhere, somehow. So, of course, immediately I asked her, would you be our featured speaker at our next recognition of graduate ceremony? Without hesitation, she said yes. And I have to say, she probably wouldn't want me to say this, I also said, we don't have no money to bring you home. So, she was so, it was such a pleasure to meet her. And I know she doesn't want me to say too much about her, but I must let you know that she is also a graduate of the University of the West Indies with a BA in History and Economics. She also has an MBA in Computer Systems from Pace University, and a postgraduate diploma in accounting. So she's gone from history to accounting. I suppose the economics led the way there. Stacia is a financial literacy expert. She's an author, she's an international speaker, she's an educator, and she credits her interest in education from the influence of her late father, Mr. Stanley Morris, who some of you may know. I did promise myself I was not going to say this, but it hurts me as a Grimble House member of Grimble House, and it is sports semester, sports term, so I have to reluctantly say a member of Staff House. Yeah. So I really was tempted not to say it, but you know, I couldn't help myself. And many of you may know that Stacia comes from a sporting family. I don't know how many of you young people know about the Morris boys of football fame, but this is their sister. And I think sometimes that's how she's introduced, the Morris brother sister, rather in her own right. She's warned me not to say too much, so I'm really very, very happy to introduce the daughter of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Miss Stacia Morris.
Good morning, everybody. What Debbie forgot to say is that I taught her in high school. Yeah, she forgot to say that. Before I start, I want to comment on what Nick said. Nick has his support system. He has Rick and Mick, right? I have 6. My support system is 6. I think most of them are looking at me this morning, so let me say hi to my support system. You didn't hear my speech. You haven't heard my speech yet. But, Nick, you picked up on my journey, the support system, the challenge, change, etc. So forgive me, everybody, if I go over time. It's because of Nick. And also thank you, Darren, for setting up the spirit, waking up everybody here so that they're now ready to hear me. Okay, so we are set with that stuff. So let me start. I want to really, I'm waiving protocol because that's been established by Mrs. Dalrymple. So I just want to go in and start off by saying, good morning, everybody. Especially to you graduates, I'll be talking to you in more detail. To begin this morning, I want to pay tribute to 3 of my lecturers from University of the West Indies. After I met Mrs. Dalrymple in October and she invited me to come speak, and I quickly said yes. Then I went back home and I said, what did I do there? You know, but I love talking, and this is really great. I haven't given back to the University of the West Indies at all, except for now. So I thought I should do this morning. So I'd like to pay tribute to 3 of my lecturers. I hope from when you guys leave here today, I hope you remember something from what I've said, okay? So I'm going to ask you to keep some words in your mind as I talk, because I really hope you remember. When I went to my graduation, I can't even remember who spoke, but I remember these 3 lecturers. They were Wendell McLean, may he rest in peace, Sir Dr. Frank Arlene, and Sir Dr. Keith Hunt. And this is what I learned from them. Wendell McLean taught me statistics on Tuesdays. And Tuesdays was my only day that I had 1 lecture, so I decided not to go to his class a lot of times. I missed his class. And I only live, for those of you who went to K-Field, I only live down Freehill. So you know, I really should have gone to this guy's class. Instead of going to his classes, I would go on the track at 5 o'clock. What Debbie didn't say, I was a Staff House athlete. I wouldn't put all the other things in front of it. And before my brothers, I was the athlete. They were known as my brothers. I went to university, I came back home, and I was their sister. What happened? Anyhow, I wouldn't go to my statistics class. I thought I knew enough statistics that I could ace this class, so I would go train in the afternoon instead. But McLean used to come to look at the athletes train, and he would see me on the field, but not in his classes. Then he threatened me. If I didn't come to his classes, he would downgrade me. So I learned to show up. The other lecturer I want to give tribute to today is Sir Dr. Frank Arlene. He taught me agricultural economics, and he taught me this on Thursdays. I was a good student. I did my work. But invariably, he would say on Thursdays, what do you think, Miss Morris? What do you think that did to Miss Morris? I had immediate amnesia. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't answer. And my friends would say, but you know your stuff. but this was the impact he had on me. So I got ready every Wednesday night for this class on Thursday, but I had immediate amnesia. He taught me to be ready, even though I felt threatened. The next person I want to mention is Dr. Keaton. He's now Sir Dr. Keaton. Can't remember which day I had his classes, but he taught me European history. And I love the scramble for Africa. Dr. Hunt brought history to life. I taught history, and Debbie, I hope I brought history to life. So Dr. Hunt brought history to life, and I love his class. I would rush to his class. So from these 3 lectures, I can't remember. I knew I learned a lot of stuff at UWI, but this is what I remember. I remember that these lectures taught me to show up, be prepared, and to enjoy my journey. And Nick, you took some of my words. So we're going to talk about journeys today. But before we talk about the journey, I want you, the audience, to complete. I'm going to say 2 words, and I want you to say the third. Are you ready? Okay, ready, set, go. No, we're not going to go today. We are going to be ready, we're going to get set, and we're going to reinvent our lives. And you guys have started to do that. You went back to school, particularly those who are working and went back to the open campus, and you're reinventing your lives. So we're going to talk about being ready today, getting set, and reinventing. So I went to the dictionary. When I grew up, my dad was a headmaster, and we had these big, fat dictionaries. Not what you guys have today. You have the internet. You have Google. I used to say, hey, Dad, what does this mean? And he would know. My dad used to just study the dictionary. So I went back to the dictionary online to see what reinvention meant. Reinvention, the definition I choose today is that reinvention is to make major changes or improvements in your lives. And you have made improvements, vast improvements in your lives from today onwards. And then relevance, I am going to say, be ready, get set, reinvent, and be relevant. Be relevant in today's economy, in today's career market, what the internet brings to your career, how it would influence your career. Just be ready to reinvent. We know today, we know that athletes, we all, hopefully you guys looked at the Olympics in Rio. Looked at the Olympics in Rio, I looked at it for another reason. I spent a lot of time in Rio, and I'd get to some of that. I'm going to be talking quickly because I know I'm between maybe you and lunch and you and getting together with your parents. So I want you to think about the Olympics. We saw athletes, particularly the 100-meter, and I hold my breath every time I see those 100-meter guys get ready, set. I'm like, are they going to false start? Because you know today, if you false start, it's how many starts before you're out? 1. I hate that. As an ex-athlete, I hate that 1 start and you're out. 1 false start, you're out. Today, in your lives, you can hit many false starts. You can pause, but you need to go forward. So for you, it's not 1 start and you're out. It's 1 false start, reassess your situation, and you reinvent yourselves. And for me, think of reinvention as the same as change. But I wanted to use the word today, reinvent. So what I want you to do with me today is to go on a professional journey with me. Travel with me. I don't want this speech to be a me, or I. I want you to travel with me. Travel with me, and again, I have to pick up on Nick. Nick, I'm picking on you, sorry. I know my lecturer used to pick on me, and I didn't like that. But I'm picking up on you. Nick is from LAU. Any LAUans in the room besides? Okay. And I know we have Barley represented fair and Barley's in the house. Yes. So I'm originally from LAU. I spent a lot of time in Kingston, but my roots were really developed in LAU. So I want to start with a young person from LAU, a very small country, moving into one of the biggest countries in the world, biggest economies, and working for one of the largest corporations in the world, and actually creating impact in that corporation, having stuff that I did in that corporation, outliving my time in that corporation, viable and still relevant after 20 years. So let's go on my career journey, which is a journey of reinvention. I started my life as a teacher at Girls High School. My dad was a teacher. Everybody in my family have either been teachers or coaches. And I'd say today, teaching is the best career. Once you have taught, once a teacher, always a teacher. I would show you how I've morphed and moved and done different things, sometimes crazy jobs, but in the end, I'm basically a teacher. I do workshops, I talk, I mentor, and that's what I'm about. So I started life as a teacher in St. Vincent de Girls High School. Then my life changed. I really had no plans. So if you have no plans right now, don't be worried. But you have to have plans, so I'd get to that. But I had no plans then. I had no plans when I just graduated. But my life changed, and I had to reassess my life, and I decided to go to work in the Bahamas, to teach in the Bahamas. The Bahamas paid US dollars, tax-free, and a lot of people who had left university moved to the Bahamas to work, get some money, and move on to the States to do an MBA. And at times, the United States is not the friendliest places. When I was ready to move at that time, it was the Reagan administration, and people were saying, why are you going there? People told me, oh, you'd never find a job. Don't listen to people. Follow your guts. Get ready and follow your gut. So I followed my gut, went to the Bahamas to work. But the Bahamas was nirvana. I have a lot of siblings. I did a lot of babysitting. Here was I in the Bahamas, no siblings to drop anywhere. I had a blue Volkswagen Bug with my tennis racket, my book, my crochet thread. And I taught, but teaching was not really my life. I taught from 9 to 3, then I hit the beach, then I went to tennis or whatever. Had nobody to be responsible for. That was nirvana, great life, but it had to end. My friend said, why are you going to the US? I had to move to the next step. The next step was to get an MBA. So I moved to the US, and as Nick said, you educate yourself, probably to move to the next career. That's exactly what I did. From teaching, I did an MBA, met some very influential folks, and here I want to give a shout out to my mentor. My mentor, many of you may not know her, but her name is BJ Punnett. I actually met BJ Punnett in the Barbados airport after we've waited for 3 days to get over to St. Vincent. Yes, 3 days. I don't know if that probably was the record. 3 days. BJ had 2 young kids there who, of course, I as an adult, I couldn't bear it. I'm not patient. Her kids came over and they were playing with me while I was trying to read. And she came over to apologize. Now, she looked like a regular tourist. And I was surprised when she said, I'm bringing my kids to see their grandparents. So I said, grandparents? She said, yes, the Punnetts in Hope. It turned out that BJ lived at one time in her life a few miles from me, but we never knew each other. She went to primary school in Barbados. I went to primary school at Hope, if anybody know where that little Hope is, between Bookament and Vermont. My dad was the headmaster there, and BJ lived right in the area, but we never met each other. Years later, we met each other in the airport in Barbados. She was very influential in my life. At that time, she was doing a PhD in, I think, management studies, and she mentored me to go to Pace University. And while I was at Pace University, and I found out that the accounting program was 2 years, and I only had money for 18 months, again, the finances, I didn't know as a US resident I could borrow money to go to school. That probably was a good thing. I called up BJ and I said, this program is 2 years. I can't be unemployed for 2 years as a full-time student. She said, do computer information systems. Every college, major colleges had a quick program, a 16-month MBA program in information studies. Okay, I said, I take the risk. It was a big risk. I had never seen a computer before. All I had seen, seriously, this is in the 80s, all I had seen was the terminal at the airport. Now, should I do computer information systems? I really had no choice because I needed to go work. I need to go fund myself. So I switched based on BJ's recommendation, and I started a computer information program. Risk, high risk. I was living in the area where IBM Corporation was headquartered. And IBM, most of my students, fellow students, were from IBM. And you know what they did on a daily basis? They were programmers. Information systems programmers, and here was I learning in a master's degree program. So what that meant, I didn't sleep much. I went from campus to campus. I ate an apple and a granola bar. I don't eat them anymore, but I lost 15 pounds in 1 month. So I took the risk, and I'm going to get to some of that. So that's so far as my career track. Teacher, did the MBA in information technology so that I can get into a job. And IBM hired me because they were the biggest thing in the area. They hired me as a programmer. But my ultimate goal was to be an accountant. Sorry for those accountants in the room. It's the most boring career. I wanted to be an accountant, so I said, okay, after the MBA, IBM is going to pay for me to go back to school, so I did the post-MBA in accounting. But I love finance, so I joined IBM Finance. So what I want you to understand from my journey is that at every step of my journey, I reinvented myself, but through education and through adding new skills. So I want you to remember that. You're just beginning your journey. You're not done yet. I know some of you might say, oh, you're not done yet. You have more to go. So after being a computer programmer, I moved into business systems. The thing in the States at that time and living in a kind of small community or going to an outside campus, you got to know your lecturers. So every step of my way in IBM, I had an IBM lecturer as my lecturer. Some of them were very tough. The guy who taught me principles of finance, principles of accounting, he was tough, really tough. But he got me into his area because once they saw that you would work, you're prepared to work hard, they want you on their team. So teacher, computer, finance person, moved between different jobs. I totally had about 11 jobs throughout my career with different companies. But at IBM, I spent 18 years, and I had every 2-3 years, I was changing careers. And changing careers, I had no roadmap. To get to today, I had no roadmap. I just want to say that again. I had no roadmap. So maybe you might have no roadmap. But what I'm going to share with you today, some of the things I'm going to share with you that my friend Nick there, and it's a good thing I went to meet Nick before now, or he'd think I'm just getting at him. Some of the things he mentioned on my roadmap, and I would mention them. But though I had no roadmap, I was set up to be effective. I was set up to reinvent myself and to be relevant in the job market. I had the BA in economics, I had the MBA, post-MBA. I did history. History taught me critical thinking skills. To sit back and analyze the situation and think about it, not just do rote repetition. Economics taught me analytical skills. Computer information taught me logical thinking skills. Finance and accounting taught me financial analysis skills. And teaching, as I said, it went through everything. It taught me how to communicate and I've run workshops globally because I think I can talk. My siblings would say I love to talk, but I blame it on my father. He spoke. So today, as I said, I had no roadmap to reinvent myself, but based on my experiences, I want to share with you my top 10 elements in my roadmap. And I must tell you, I cheated. These are top 10, but when you combine them, they might be 30. But top 10. And in no sequence, but no logical sequence really, but I'll give you the main two. And the main two is the first one that Nick talked about. He has Rick and Mick, and as I said, I have 6. The top thing is your family support. Your parents, my parents, I had the greatest parents, and every time I talk, I talk about my parents. My parents literally taught me I could do anything. At 11 years old, I was able to reason with my father, and he homeschooled me for about 3 months. Now, think of that. 60s, who homeschools? Nobody knows about homeschool. My dad homeschooled me before I went to girls' high school. Then at 14 years old, I had an arrangement with my mother that I'd make my clothes myself because I'd have more clothes if she didn't have to pay a seamstress. So, they said, go do it. My dad said, travel. If you never travel and you never met other peoples, even though you have education, you're not educated. So we listened to him, and a lot of my family have traveled, even one sister teaching in China for a year. So we've done some brave things. And my siblings are my most ardent supporters. but they're my most vocal critics. And I'm sure when I get home, I would hear from them. I also, on my support team, have family and friends. I have friends I can call on. When I worked at IBM, because I'm a woman, I am a black woman, I speak funny, these are the things I heard about myself. Some of them were true, but when they told me I was a minority, I never knew that. You know, so I couldn't behave like a minority. So I had a friend, and he was Chinese, and if he saw me around his office at 2 o'clock, he knows that we need to chat. So we'd go talk, because I needed somebody to tell me, is this the D word that we don't want to talk about, the discrimination word? Am I being overreactive? So I had that friend who would level set with me. So you need people who would level set with you, and people who you respect, and people who would tell you the truth, because sometimes we need to hear the truth. So my first element on my roadmap would be my support system. So make sure you have a support system. If you don't have the right family members, find some friends. At the end of my speech, I'm going to talk to the elder people in the group and say, mentor some people. You know, so that's the first thing, support system. Oh, I run straight into it, mentoring. Get a mentor and be a mentor. The only mentor I could remember having was B.J. Punnett. On the job, I wish I had a mentor, because as a British English-speaking person, I only saw black and white. I couldn't see grays. It was either right or wrong. And you get to these big organizations, and there's a lot of gray matter that you need to understand, that I didn't. So get a mentor and be a mentor. Then brand yourself. This is very important. Decide who you are. Are you going to be a person who tell the truth no matter what? You need to be known. You need to be known for your area of expertise. You need to be the go-to person. You need to understand and read everything. I am known as a person who make order out of chaos. And I can do problem solving, any kind of problem solving. Yes, the computer information programs change, but they never really change. It's all input, process, output. So be known for something. And stay current in your area, attend conferences. If there are no conferences, create some friends who would get together and have a chat session with you. Do some blogging. You guys, the internet has opened the world to you. So it's not only St. Vincent only. The next thing on my list is to make plans. I said when I was at your stage, when I just started out, I haven't had no plans. But have plan A, B, and C, and be ready to execute any of those plans. Friends, and be flexible. You gotta be flexible. Because what happens? Life happens. As you go along on your planned route, life happens. You have to be flexible. And then you have to take risk. How many people are risk takers? Would you just leave your job, go to another country, start to work and say, things would work out? Like you, Nick, I have my faith. And I believe that things would work out. And even though I had distractors, things I would say have worked out. And in terms of talking about work, you gotta work really hard. You have to work hard. When you take risk and you're in front of people, you know, people are looking to do this. So you have to make sure you have everything covered. One night I was getting ready for a presentation, a big presentation, I found a major flaw. That meant I couldn't sleep that night. And these were not the days of PowerPoints. These were the days when you made those old files and you had to stick them in something and present them. I had to stay awake all night to do that work. I have really worked hard. And then expect sacrifices. You guys know what sacrifices you made and what your families have made in terms of time with your family, financial sacrifices, etc. But it's going to pay off. It really is going to pay off. And I would say rebound and be resilient, whatever happens. After 18 years of working with IBM, I got downsized. And I still owe myself that day in bed crying. I have not done that, because I'm not that kind of person. I rebounded, I went back to school, and I did some financial services, and I became a financial advisor. And if I had never left IBM, I would never have had a voice. I would never have written the financial books I've written. There's a lot of stuff I would not have done if I had not been downsized. So things happen, not what you think would happen. Some changes you make, some changes are made for you, but you need to just rebound and be resilient. And educate yourselves. I'm amazed. Last time I was in St. Vincent, I heard somebody say that at a certain age, you don't need to learn new stuff. I am still trying to learn Spanish. My brother Desmond speaks Spanish like a native, and I want to be like Desmond. But every time I get in my car, I stick in a Spanish cassette so I can bury myself and learn Spanish. I still want, so you're never too old to learn. Continue being interested in the internet, YouTube videos, online classes, Google. You have it made. I used to have to go to books and to the library. You have everything at your desktop and your laptop. You don't even have to get out of bed, but do get out of bed. Don't spend the day, don't spend the day with your laptop in the bed. And then make mistakes. You would make mistakes, but make sure you don't make the same mistake twice. When you make a mistake, you settle back and say, what happened there? I've made mistakes. I've gone into the women's room and say, Stacia, how did you do that? But I couldn't beat myself up. I love myself, so I don't beat myself up. I just move on. And you need to move on. And the last on my 10, have passion and have fun. I have traveled the world. I've been to Latin America, all those countries, and the reason I told you I watched the Rio Olympics, I played volleyball on Ipanema and Copacabana. Compliments of IBM. Everywhere I traveled, I spent the weekend, saw the country, I've traveled all over the US. One of my worst trips, though, was to South Africa when I went to Johannesburg and Soweto. That touched my heart because we may think that we are poor or we have some poverty areas in the Caribbean in St. Vincent. There's nothing like Soweto. Just totally. I went back to the US and I could not get accustomed to my life because I said, but for the grace of God was Stacia when I saw the abject poverty in South Africa. But I enjoy myself traveling. Have a passion. I have a job that I love. This job I have was created for me by people I never met, but because of my brand, they created this job. I can come in, I can solve their problem. I work from home, I can work from anywhere in the world. So, Deborah, when I came down, I could have brought my laptop and work from here, but I decided to leave that there and bring my own. But I have a really good job. But what's my passion? My passion, I'm going to get to my passion because I want to tell you, I've told you the good areas, the top 10 areas. What I haven't told you is the area that I felt that I failed at until I adjusted myself. I failed at being present, and you need to be present. I was present in my work life, in my profession. I was present. What I wasn't present about was the other people who were around me. For example, I'll give you 2 examples. I want to introduce you to Caroline. One day at work, and next to my office, I saw balloons and cake, etc., and I wondered what was happening. So I stepped into the office, and why are you guys celebrating? And they said, Caroline came back, and I'm like, back from where? She was in hospital for 2 weeks, and I did not know. And I sat right next to her. I was all taken up in Stacia's profession, getting what I needed to get done, and didn't realize my neighbor was not there. That was bad. That was really bad. That touched me. The other one was Serge. Serge was the person is Serge. Serge was a cafeteria. He worked at the cafeteria, at the cashier. He was a cashier. Every day I would say hi to Serge. One day, there was a guy in front of me, and I'm only saying color because it brings out what I didn't do. The white guy in front of me, Paul, said to Serge, congratulations. I'm behind, and I said to Paul, congratulations for what? Serge just finished his first degree. He just finished his bachelor's degree. All those years, for about 3-4 years, I had been going to Serge and paying for my stuff at the cafeteria counter and didn't know that Serge was studying. I could have given him a word of advice, not even advice, but, you know, some motivation, hang in there. Serge is Haitian. He doesn't speak English well. After he got his degree, he was hired into the same organization where we used him. He was a cafeteria cashier. And that hit me home. So because of that, I really started, that's where I started mentoring people and giving back. So in addition to reinventing myself through my career, this is what I want to do now. This is what I've been doing for some years. I want to have a house of dreams. For those of you who live in the rural communities and you have a headmaster's house right next to the school, I want to buy a school for $1 because I lived in a schoolhouse a lot of my life. I want to have a schoolhouse. I want to have people come to my schoolhouse to learn anything. I can find people to teach you anything. You can come in and get your resume redone. I could mentor you, whatever. So I thought I needed a physical structure. I didn't. And there's some people in the audience here who are my hostess when I come to St. Vincent. I live at them, and I love living at them. Their sons, nephews, and one daughter. They come to my house. They asked me if they can come to my house to chat about some stuff. And they started coming, and they come from Brooklyn once a month. They wanted to come every 3 weeks, but I said, once a month, guys. So they come once a month, and I take my den and I change it into a classroom. So they bring their laptops, of course, and they bring their cell phones, and I have a whiteboard, and we have a projector, and we do anything. We talk about their jobs, we do their resumes, they have full-time jobs, and they're entrepreneurs. So we brand them, we talk about business names, we do a lot of stuff. And then one day, the young man said something to me that I thought about it, and I said, I don't need a structure. This is the age of the internet. I already have my virtual house of dreams. So I call it my HOD, my heart. So I want to before I end, I just want to tell you some of the people who come through my house of dreams. I want to mention 3 people. One person, incidentally, I taught her at the girls' high school. And 3 years ago, she came back into my life. She had lost her job, and I helped her redo her resume. She had been a banker. She had a really hard time, and I asked if I can share her story with you. And I wasn't going to mention her name, but I was in church recently when my pastor said, you mention names because you read those biblical stories where they name people, where you have all the people. So you mention names because they bring people to life. So I asked if I can use her name. Her name is Margaret. During the time that Margaret was downsized, she did 2 things. She went back to school, the CUNY in the Brooklyn area, and she did human services. And she also signed up with the New York Civil Service to do their exam. She did their exam. So this was 3 years ago. Last year, August, she comes to my home. And we sit down. She had the interview the next day. 2 years. It took 2 years to get to call her for interview. So I started talking to her about her job and the interview. And I quickly realized that she needed a mock interview. So I gave her a 30-minute mock interview. The next day, she went on her job. I not only gave her a mock interview, I gave her a folder, I put paper in it, I said, this is how you present yourself, etc. The next day, she called up. She had an interview. She got an immediate job offer. Because a lot of the things that I mentored her on in terms of communication, organization of the area, teamwork, etc., she got all those questions, and she got an immediate job. In December, I got a lovely email from her. It was the best Christmas she had had in 3 years because she had young kids to provide for. So that was Margaret. The next person is my niece, Brianna. Like you, she had just graduated last year, June from USC. She got a job with Oracle. She hated it. She got a job in sales. So she was going to do immediate reinvention. She was going to reinvent her life immediately. Hated the job. We did her resume, and then I called on my network. That's something you need to have, a network. I called on my network, and my network started looking for jobs for my niece. Need to tell you, she's now going to be working for one of the biggest consulting companies in the world, Accenture, and Microsoft joint venture. She gets a hefty salary increase. She gets a sign-on bonus, and she starts on March the 6th. I mentioned March the 6th because my third story is the most aggressive and fast experience I've had with mentoring. And her answer in the room, her name is Shelly Ann. Shelly Ann's cousin told me Shelly Ann needed direction, and she needed to join our Saturday group. But she couldn't get up in the morning in time to leave Brooklyn and come to my house in Connecticut. So she missed. In December, she called them, and she said, I'm getting ready. And they said, we're here already. So she couldn't come in December. She joined the group in January, last month. She needed direction. We redid her resume. So while the other 2 did their stuff, Shelley and I, we did her resume. We talked about job search. Shelley has a first degree in economics. She's working on a master's degree in science, and she has a first degree in economics and math. Now, why would she be working in a child care services area? I thought she was too skilled, particularly in New York City when they're looking for minority teachers in science. So we said, okay, Shelley, and your resume is ready, float it to your friends in education. That was in January. Last week, Saturday, I had my class with them. They were coming up, and I said, please don't come. I can't afford 4 to 6 hours while I'm getting ready to go to St. Vincent. So I did what we should do. We had a conference call. This is the age of the internet and conference calls, etc. We had a conference call. Shelley-Ann was the first person on the conference call. Of course, she couldn't get up early for an 11 o'clock conference call. She's on the line, and remember, she just joined us last month. And she said, I asked her for her update, and she said, I don't want to be a teacher anymore. And I'm like, are you kidding? We have to start over from scratch. She said, no, I just resigned. I'm like, resigned, why? Oh, I just accepted a job at the hospital as an accountant. I said, Shelley-Ann, you never were an accountant. She said, no, I never was an accountant, but the guy who hired me saw that I have math and economics as my degree. And he said, I can make you an accountant. And I said to her, okay, Shelley-Ann, this is your next step. You know, I morph into the next step teacher's role. If you're going to be, and Shelley-Ann starts next week on March 6th also. And she also got a substantial salary increase. I said to her, I don't want to insult you, but you need to go buy Accounting for Dummies, Bookkeeping for Dummies. You need to go on YouTube and look at what accountants do and what bookkeepers do. And you also need to do some Google and do some free education. She said, you know, that's what the guy who hired me told me. So she is taking a risk, but I also told her, Shelley-Ann, any questions you have as you go along your path, just call me up. So those are my last 3 good examples of mentoring. And that's my house of dreams, which is my virtual house of dreams. So before I end, I want to just go through my top 10 so that you would remember, let's hopefully remember 3. You would start with your support system. Please remember that. Positive people, no negative people. Don't feel badly if you have to cut off the negative people. Cut them off if you have to. Have a mentor and be a mentor. Brand yourself and be positive. Make plans but be flexible. Take risks. Be critical of yourself. Analyze your situations. This is like Shelley-Ann and Brianna did. Work hard. There's no substitute. Be flexible, rebound, and be resilient. Life is going to hit you. Be ready to change. Educate yourself continually. Maintain your intellectual curiosity. In the Caribbean, we are known for being intellectually curious. Make mistakes, never the same twice. Have fun, have a passion. So I just want to, in closing, tell you, I thought of my topic in the Barbados airport when I waited as I was on my way home in October. And I decided this is what I'm going to talk about. This is October 2016. This year, in January 2017, I Googled to see if the lecturers I was mentioning, if they were still around. I know that Marshall had passed away. And I found an article from the Barbados Today, which talked about UWI and the relevance of UWI. And I'm like, wow, right in line with my topic. And they also mentioned Wendell McLean and Frank Arlene, 2 of the lecturers I mentioned here. So I knew that I was on the right path when I decided that this is what I was going to talk to you about. Get ready, get set. You would go, yes, but you would reinvent yourself. And I'm going to challenge the seasoned members of the audience to adopt some mentees. Give back to young people. Young or old, one person I mentioned, she is late 40s, starting over. You start over at any age, as long as you're willing to take the risk and put in the work. And the graduates, as I said, I challenge you to get ready, get set, constant reinvention. And as you remain relevant in your community and in your profession, you would need to show up, be ready, and always try to enjoy your journey as you reinvent yourself and remain relevant. And welcome to the UWI alumni family. Congratulations. Thank you very much, everybody, for following my journey, and Godspeed to you on your journey. Thank you.
Graduates, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to invite you to give another warm round of applause to our guest speaker today. And Ms. Morris, I really want to thank you for sharing that journey with us and giving us so much food for thought and really calling us to action, because these events are not just about marking the certifications that we receive, but really are a reminder of the work that we have to do and the exciting time that lies ahead of us. So with this brings to a close the public ceremony by which the University of the West Indies has recognized the award of degrees, diplomas, and certificates to its graduates. The company will now disperse.
We ask the audience to stand as the company departs.